Hello, welcome to Leap Taken. This is Mika. Here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And finally, I am doing this video that I have been wanting to do for some time, and this is part one of a series of manifesting a lifestyle. So, the way I'm going to break it up is into a three-part series. So, this one, where I'm just basically giving the background, some high level overview, the nitty gritty process technique video is part two, and part three is sort of the now what, and some tips and tricks on how to keep things going. That video. This will be part three. So let me get into it. Full disclosure, this was really difficult to actually record because I realized I want to be thorough. I want to give information. However, I also feel like how do I say this? It's hard to summarize everything in a video without it becoming like a freaking docu-series or something. I feel like I need to have like somebody coming around and have interviews and things like that for me to really give the entire story. So there's always going to be more, and there's only so much I can share, to be honest. So I'm going to do my best to kind of really give the information as best as I can where it makes sense, because I want to make these videos to actually help some people, and to be, to sort of use some of the things I've done as an example, but more importantly, so that you can kind of build your own system and you can kind of learn how to do things yourself. But anyway, my background, as far as to all of this is, let me just start, I'll work backwards for a moment. I manifested a lifestyle. So, and what does that even mean? Basically, I used several different techniques to get to the point, get to this place that I'm in right now. And the place that I'm in right now is very comfortable, peaceful, a life of ease. I know that currency, money comes my way. I know that health is wealth. I know that I am wealthy. I know that, relationships of all sorts, that they do take work, but is reciprocal, goes back and forth. And I also know that it's important for me to be in spaces and with people who are aligned the same as me. And if I am not, I also know that I am protected and that I can still learn from experiences. And I understand that, that's okay. But I'm still, protected, divinely guided, and, that witch. So seriously, that's kind of where my mind is at. But anyway, and I know that I am powerful. And I know that I can make change. I know that I'm fine no matter where I go, no matter what I'm doing, I will be okay. Whether this plane of existence or moving forward, I know I'm fine. And that kind of is a lot to say, and kind of probably a little vague, but that's basically me and my viewpoints and my lifestyle. So I want to say back, what are we in 2021? So I want to say maybe 5, 7, 18, 19, 20. Yeah. So about 5, 6 years ago, maybe about 5 years ago, I made my point. What my catalyst was actually more about money, because I knew that I was tired of constantly being in this weird space of always having to do these emergency type money spells and constantly feeling like I'm behind, indebted, incurring new debt that was just driving me crazy. I had 2 kids in college at one point. It was a thing. So it was tough. Money was getting tough. It's like money would come in, opportunities would come in. So the spells I was doing was working. However, I felt like after a period of time, I was back at the position I had been in before doing the spell. Energetically speaking, just like keeping a certain flow of energy within certain my relationships. I felt like it was just becoming heavy for me. It was draining me to do that. When it came to my witchcraft, I felt, excuse me, I was growing. I was, kind of adding to my witchy bank of knowledge. However, I felt like there was still like I was holding off, and I couldn't figure out what was I holding off from. What was the stopping point? I felt like there was a gap somewhere where some of my magic was being siphoned off in some way, for lack of better words. So that was happening. I just also on different levels just felt like I was constantly grappling to find my base, my footing. I felt like I would find it, and then things would get shaky, and I felt adrift again, that sort of thing. And I'm doing magic, spells, rituals, things like that because I'm aware of this. Part one: be aware. Be aware of you. Be willing to do some analyzing about yourself. It's not time to be critical. It's not time to say, yeah, I do procrastinate. I'm talking about deeper stuff than procrastinating. Why do I procrastinate? What's happening? What are my triggers? Why am I like this? I started getting a little bit deeper and asking myself those types of questions. That was sort of, well, that was really necessary actually to ask those questions because without getting to that point, I wouldn't get to the next phase. So then it was a matter of employing techniques and some really intense shadow work to basically face that and then move past it and say, okay, well, this is me. This is part of my personality, and some stuff is like I need to shed that. I need to release that, and understanding what should be let go and what part I need to keep that part of myself. And to give a better example, the part where I'm a bit skeptic and you know where you believe, oh, it's too good to be true. I don't need to get rid of that. I didn't need to release it. I just needed to understand when to use that part of my or exhibit that part of myself, practice that part of myself. I'm trying to find the right words here. Instead of applying that when anything would go great in my life, to then say, oh, it's too good to be true. See, I was doing that. That wasn't the proper use of using that way of thinking, I should say. So me just kind of learning all that sort of stuff, but it started with questions. It started with me questioning myself and really started digging deeper about those answers. And this was a lot of push pull because while I was developing this basically new sense of self, which is ultimately how the change starts with you. In order for me to change my lifestyle, I had to change my way of thinking. And I had some really jacked up views about a lot of different things, like money included. That's kind of where I started with this. And I had to change this idea that the rug would always be pulled up from under me, like to basically live your life and trying to figure out how not to get the rug pulled up from under you when things were going well. So if things were going well, here I am with the negative thought that it's only a matter of time before somebody or something happens. So that's how I'm thinking. And it took a lot. Like I remember admitting that one time um, out loud to someone that I really think that. I really think that when things go well, it's only a matter of time before they don't. And being able to admit it sounds silly when I said it out loud because I was like crying about because there had been an event, another thing that happened, and I was like, what the frick is happening in my life? So anyway, coming to those challenges and sort of moving past that and learning to keep some of the stuff that actually, you need to still be aware and have some level of skepticism. I think it's healthy too, so that you can analyze the situation. So when things don't make sense and things aren't adding up, when the math isn't mathing, to question, you're aware of that. So there's that, and then there's energetically speaking, just like pouring into relationships and aspects. And I felt like I was getting depleted and needing to do rejuvenation rituals, probably a little too often, that sort of stuff. And then, constantly worrying, and that was taking its toll emotionally, mentally, and physically. I needed to address those things. And I wanted a lifestyle where all of that stuff really wasn't necessary. So what I did was, I had to focus on the things that weren't so pretty and that weren't so likable as part of the work. So the shadow work, if you will. So I did that, and then moving on, I started really opening myself to What do you want? What does that look like? What does that feel like? How does it taste? How does it smell? What do you see? Um, think about this on a day to day basis. What we wake up, what do you want to happen when you wake up that morning, on a Monday, on a Tuesday, on a weekend? Like, where do you want to be? How do you want to see it? I had to start thinking bigger and expanding my mind. So I'm past some money spell stuff. I'm past some, releasing ritual. I'm past that point. I'm not saying that these things are not still going to be, necessary. I'm saying I'm now opening up on a different level about just life. And then I'm thinking about, you know, living this life, and what does that mean when I connect with my ancestors, and what does that mean when I get to the ancestral plane? Like, I'm thinking the here, the now, the future, like all of this. Like, I'm really giving myself space to think on these types of concepts and these ideas. And I'm thinking about this quite often, and I'm writing about it, I'm journaling about it, scripting, um, and visualizing. I'm communing with my ancestors. I'm petitioning them, for guidance, because I feel like I'm onto something, and I was. So what I will say is this: in order to get to the point where you have the lifestyle that you desire, you have to get honest with yourself, and that may change what you think you're desiring. For instance, in the beginning, I had some pretty, I don't want to say strong ideas, but, deeply held beliefs about what I thought I was desiring. But as during the process and more scripting, and the more the universe was showing up for me, and it didn't happen overnight, by the way, but the like one opportunity led to another opportunity, which created this a situation where, like, phase one of the lifestyle was unlocked, and then another opportunity occurred. Phase two unlocked. It went like that. So with that in mind, I felt like, okay, so as I was getting to these different phases and it was unlocking, um, well, my attitudes were shifting. My attitude shifted. When you are in a place where things are sort of, in a way where you don't have to worry about certain things anymore, let's say money, you don't have to worry about that anymore. Well, that shifts what you think you desire going forward. So when you don't have to worry about stability and other aspects of your life, relationships and things like that, that also changes your mindset about how you want to live and the things you want to do. Um, and what you thought was necessary or what you thought was important, all of a sudden isn't as important. So this is a process that I was going through. So you have to be willing to be expansive in thought. You have to be open and understanding that where you started with this little seed of planting that you were planning for this bigger thing, is going to develop and change differently as you go, and be okay with that. It's necessary. You're going to have to do that. Yeah, you're going to definitely have to do that. So because how it looked here in the beginning, ground one is not how it looks now for me. Especially, it does not look the same. And what I thought was necessary in the most highly desired is no longer. All right. So the things that I used was scripting. I used ritual. I used regular candle spells in between. I took advantage of any sort of lunar phases that would benefit, any opportunity where it was like an astrological event occurring. I tapped into that energy. I sex magic. um, I used everything from vision boards to actual visualizing, some of your more regular ideas about manifesting, law of attraction, all that sort of stuff. I started understanding universal law more. I immersed myself a lot into that, specifically a lot of esoteric things, so I could understand like the inner workings of the universe, and um, you know, alchemy, that sort of stuff. I really immersed myself into that as well. and not just read about it, because we could all read about and watch videos and do that, but like start applying pieces and techniques that I thought would make sense for me and what I was doing. And more importantly, I stayed aligned to it. Um, in the beginning, when I was still planting that seed and I was still working through changing my mindset, which is important, um, I wasn't as heavy. But once, like I said, once like phase one of lifestyle planning was unlocked and phase two was unlocked, momentum was building, and I used that energy and just kept going with it. So um, the takeaway that I do want you to have is that one, where you start, that process might not look quite how you think, and be okay with that. Setbacks might happen as well. Be okay with that. We'll get into that in part two's video on setting up, knowing your triggers and knowing how to address that, knowing how to sort of set yourself back on track again. My trigger was things go well, freak out because you expect something bad to happen because it's too good to be true, that crap. So learning that and learning what to do, how to handle that. So knowing your triggers, that was a big deal actually, because I was derailing myself at every turn. Um, and truly not just saying it, but learning to believe that good things can happen to you, and they can continue to happen to you. Use all these techniques, like I said, magic, rituals, yes, sex magic, scripting, all that sort of stuff over time. I did the shadow work, and it's still, my story is still happening. The story that I scripted, I'm still living it, by the way. Part three will go more into that, but this is still very much happening. So I wanted to kind of get you on the ground floor, to get you at the point when you're watching this video series on my thinking. What, why, how, where, what? Like, I'm trying to answer that as generally speaking as I can in this video. And then my next video, we're about to get into techniques. We're going to get into the tools used and yeah, the process. So the behind the scenes stuff. So I'll get into that and talk that through as well. So hopefully you got, your appetite is wet and ready for this as well. And take away from this, start asking yourself some questions. Start doing some analyzing right now so you're ready for part two. All right, thanks for watching. I'm Nika. This is Leap Taken. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.